Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Petersen Automotive Museum Deep Dives. Today we're going to be talking about our 1970 Fiat Shelette. Probably the first thing people notice when they take a look at the Petersen Museum's 1970 Fiat Shelette is a basket weave interior. And that's there for a very good reason, because this car was really not meant for everyday transportation obligations. This car was meant for very stylish people, for very wealthy people to get from their seaside villas down to the coast and around the little neighborhoods shopping, and doing so potentially in wet bathing suits, because this kind of wicker was impervious to water, theoretically, and it would dry out quickly, because after all, this was a beach car. A kind of vehicle that in Italy they call the spiaggina, which literally means couch or recliner. It was a kind of car that you got a little bit comfortable with, and a perfect vehicle for scuttling around seaside villas and seaside resorts and beach communities with narrow cobblestone streets, especially during the summertime in France, where you had to look your best no matter whether you were on the beach or in your car. Well, the design of the car is one thing, but underneath is a regular everyday Fiat 850, which means it's a rear engine car with four tiny little cylinders that add up to 0.85 of a liter. The trunk is up front because there's no engine up here, so you do have a little bit of storage for towels, for picnic baskets, for libation, for anything else that you may need to take to the beach. Now, only about 80 of these were built, and they didn't all live an easy life. A lot of them, because of their nature, were kept on the shore where they were exposed to salt water and the salt air, and a lot of them rusted. But this car, we're so fortunate because it's an original California car, and it's wearing its original paint, the original wicker, the original wood. Virtually everything is original on the car, with the possible exception of the tires. Now, Michelotti was not the first to envision this kind of beach car or this kind of spiaggina. Some of the earlier ones were made by Ghia on Fiat 500 and 600 platforms. They were along the same lines. They were cut down from hardtops into wide open vehicles and retrofitted with a Surrey top, a kind of striped top with absolutely no provision for weather protection on the outside. So whatever it was doing on the outside, it was doing on the inside of the car, unless you put up your little top. And this car has one of those tops that can be put down, actually taken off or put back up again, because it's got a little bar in the back that you can flip up. You can snap the top to it, snap it to the header, and you can get down the road. At least you'll be protected from the sun. Other interesting thing about this car, and kind of a continuation of the nautical theme, are the teak gunnels, the teak details that are embodied in the vehicle. Again, teak is more impervious to water than a lot of other hardwoods would be, so that's what was used. And this car is especially interesting because it really wasn't intended for beach use. It was intended for shopping trips in and around Beverly Hills, because the woman who owned it and the woman who gave it to us bought it brand new just for the purpose of shopping, to take for short errands in and around Beverly Hills, when you didn't need a gigantic Cadillac to go down to the drugstore to get fill a prescription. All you needed was just something small to get you around town, and not just get you around town, but get you around town in a certain kind of style. When the time came for the lady to let it go, she thought of us and she contacted us. It took us about a half a second to think that, yeah, this is an important car. It's important to beach culture, even in Los Angeles, but especially Europe. And we were all too happy. We were delighted that she offered it to us, and we're now delighted to have it as an important part of the permanent collection. Now, a lot of people look at this car and say, this is so chic. This is such a great way to get around. Why don't they build these today? Why weren't they invented a long time before the 50s? And why did they fade out after about the early 1970s? Well, it's because they were impractical. They were a lot of money. What you were essentially getting is half the car for twice the money. The hood, they would lop off the top. They would take out the doors. Essentially, they would strip away all the weather protection and give you something wide open. It was light and nimble, but it really didn't influence the aesthetics of the automobile. But that might change because more recently, the firm of Castagna in Italy has reinvented the Fiat Jolly idea, the Fiat Spiagina, the Fiat Shellette idea by producing Fiat 500s with their tops taken off and with wicker interior that's kind of evokes the spirit of the 50s and of the 60s and the kind of European chic and European style that was prevalent in the south of France and any other affluent beach community. Driving this car is a revelation. Even in Los Angeles, when people think they have seen everything, a car can pull up to you. You're on the right, a Lamborghini's on the left, and they will look at you. They've seen Lamborghinis, but they certainly almost have never seen a Fiat Shelette or a Fiat Jolly or a Spiagina of any other sort. It's a kind of charming little car that gives people, I think, the same feeling that a Woody does. It's approachable, it's friendly, it almost like it's saying hello to you without saying a word. Thank you, everybody, for joining me on this episode of Deep Dives. We'll see you next time.